Hello, Cancer Rising. Welcome to Scopes Unshamed for May 2026. So, before we dive in, what I would really advise you to do is to go back and listen to the April scope. What I have found as a person who lives in deep observance of cycles and lives with the astrology is how helpful it is to turn backward, to understand where am I? Like, what am I doing? And if you listen to the scope for April, you'll be able to sync what you hear with the evidence of your own life and like what actually has been coming up in your life, what is alive in your life. And that will help you come into a deeper sense of like, this is where I am now, this is where I'm going. And so that will allow you to receive the May scope from that deeper anchor place. Okay, so come on back when you're done. May 2026 is really fun because we have a full moon on the first day and a full moon on the last day, and this does not happen very often. So we have these two like, peaking moments on either side of May. It's like kind of cradling it, which is great. So let me start with that first full moon, which is the full moon in Scorpio. It's going to feel very different, those two full moons. That's something that you can track. The full moon of Scorpio is going to be, I think, tapping a lot at, your own awareness of how much change you're going through. Like, how's it going, Cancer rising? Like, there's a lot of change in your life, moving quickly. The way you're showing up, the way you're wanting to navigate your career and what you're doing here may feel like you're in like a rapid upgrade situation. Sometimes it may feel hard to kind of like process or like manage all of the updates that are coming through for you. And this is okay. This is like the intelligence of the time that you're in. So there's so much here. And as we moved into Taurus season at the end of April, you may be becoming more and more aware of how you want to be navigating your changes with your communities and in your creative life. And I think that this full moon is going to really kind of speak to the intensity of the creative process. Scorpio is a deeply feeling water sign. And there's a lot of like yearning and desire. There's an eroticism to this Scorpio part of us that may be like really gaping or like pulling open for you creatively. And that may feel vulnerable. Like one of the key feelings that you may have here right out of the gate of the month is like the vulnerability of being a creative human being because it really like wants you to open up and open your throat, open your hips, like really show yourself. And the birthing process is a vulnerable one. And so the that you may just sort of feel like you're being stretched, uh, like stretched to feel and like opening up your capacity to feel even more. And with that may come all kinds of feelings. I think it will be a heavy feeling one, but also one that could be very creative if you let it move you, like let it move you. Water, let it flow. See what happens. See what happens. You can keep it private for now. So we'll begin with this information. A lot is moving quickly still this month. It's one of these types of months where it's like, what? How is it suddenly going to be summer? Like, I don't understand how time is moving so quickly. So, like, your weeks are kind of flying by. You've got your plans, you're trying to go get everything through, and time is moving very quickly as you're also making a lot of possibly structural changes to your business, structural changes to your life. And what you may be noticing across the month is something that I call an emergent no. I've been teaching on this idea of the emergent no for years now, and I've included in the show notes here a link to a free workshop and a free PDF where I teach all about like the steps of navigating the emergent no. It's here for you if that would feel supportive. So, the idea with the emergent no is that not every no is a fuck no. Like, fuck no is so nice. It's just like clear. It's even exciting. It's fun to enact it. It's not full of like, I don't know, should I? But the emergent no is different because the emergent no is a no that sits under the surface of our conscious awareness. I'm drawing a horizontal line as if it's like the surface of the water. And we in our conscious life can only see the surface of the water. And we don't even know about all kinds of things about ourselves that are under the water. These are things I teach is how to grow awareness of what's under. So the emergent no is a no that's under the surface. It could have been under the surface for a few months. It could be under the surface for decades. It's a no that we're not quite ready. We have not been quite ready to see because dealing with it will mean things. It will mean maybe, it will mean our life will have to change, basically. Our life will have to change if we really look at it so that we keep it under the surface of our awareness. So, in these last couple of months, as you've been restructuring, you've been getting stronger, you've been getting a lot of ideas, you may also notice that there's been a kind of frustration or a scratch or dissonance that you're willing to see. And it's coming up over these last few weeks, showing you where there's a no in your life, a no to a relationship, to a way of doing things, to a habit, to a pattern, to a place. This no is telling you what's not alive anymore because you made a pact with that thing in the past. And in present time, it's not in affinity with you anymore. So, in order to stay alive, really wildly alive in your work and how you show up in the world and what you create in the world, it's important that you honor this and update. The emergent no doesn't always mean endings. Often it just means updates. And I talk about all that in the workshop is like the difference. Updating into present time with making a pact with the thing according to who you are now, a new set of agreements. There's often a lot of grief in this process because a younger version of you may have once really believed in that thing that you are now becoming a no to. So there can be a lot of conflict with the no because you're loyal to a younger self or you're loyal to the relationships that have to do with what is actually no longer alive for you. And that's frightening. So you may want to give this one quite a bit of care, take the resource I'm offering. And this one is going to be like peaking energy up through the first 2 weeks of May as you have more and more illumination and awareness about like what is trying to move through you when you honor this and giving you support in just like next steps. Like you can't see all the way the end, way down the timeline of how you respond to this moment. But what can you see to help you in the next moment? So that's going to be really, really, really supportive. And I'm very much encouraging you to notice like who are the people in my community who are like resources to support me in my knowing here and who can support me in where I'm going. All right. So then after that new moon in Taurus that we're going to have mid-month, the winds are going to be changing astrologically. Like there's going to feel like a lot of energetic shifts. The second half of the month is going to feel very different than the first part of the month. As you're now moving things around and things are metabolizing, things are integrating, things are moving into action, And you are now moving from a place of like, now I've shorn some things up, like I've made some big decisions. I've announced them, and now I'm moving forward with the rest of the month. And you are like bringing that energy into action, which I think will feel really nice because it's not a fun feeling to be sitting with decisions you need to make, and it's kind of complicated making them. And you can like feel ahead to the repercussions and the consequences of that decision. Like sitting with that is like very draining and heavy. So once you've set things into motion mid-month, you're going to enjoy like just not being in that anymore. And now we can move, we're moving the energy, and you're living your decisions, you're living your choices, and that is going to feel really nice. Um, and then when we get into the latter part of the month, there's going to be some shifting. There's going to be some maybe surprise turns collectively, personally, like wasn't expecting that to happen this week. We have these times, we people who live in 2026. So what I would invite you to do in the latter part of the month is really bake in a lot of alone time. I would give yourself a lot of time to hear yourself, to be with yourself, to slow things down, to rest, to get clear, to be really like picky about what you give your ear to, you know? Like be really picky about that because you're trying to hear yourself and you don't need a lot of noise getting in there and getting into your head, trying to organize your thoughts, You're in charge of organizing your thoughts. So, I do think that you're going to be able to see how to respond, talk about how to respond, be with yourself and how to respond to anything that comes up at this time. And then we have the final full moon at the very end of the month. So everything's building towards this final full moon now here at the end. And this full moon is going to be in Sagittarius then, which is the polar sign of Gemini, because the energy is now going to be in Gemini, because that's where the sun is at the end of May and into June. So we're now in this full moon in Sagittarius, the polar sign of Gemini. And this moon has a lot of support around it, a lot of access to nurturing information, also structuring information. It has like illumination and clarity, like illumination and knowing how to be with it, illumination and knowing how to support what's coming up, which is always a nice thing. And so, one of the things that I would suggest at this time is like really noticing the ways in which your relationship to um, your capacity has changed over these years. That, like, the way that you may have previously pushed yourself, um, demanded achievement, like, tried to get it all in, taken on a lot, been like kind of over optimistic of what's possible, and then you end up getting really depleted. Some of these patterns around capacity, you may really be noticing how you've changed, and you may really be wanting to celebrate and care for yourself in this awareness. And as you notice like how you treat yourself differently now, how you treat your body differently now in your capacity with respect, how you're able to feel so much more able to hold all of you, to hold your wounds, to hold your trauma, to hold your shame, to hold your past. Like, because you're treating your body differently now, you are able to just like really heal, honestly. And this isn't about perfection. In fact, it's the awareness that you're no longer asking yourself to be perfect and how good that feels. So, it's possible that at this time things may come up that show you where you could give this to yourself more. Like you may be aware of patterns that are not in affinity with that and need to go. You may notice where you're putting too much pressure on yourself to get it all done. And that's just, you're expecting something superhuman and you're not a superhuman, you're a human. And so, depending on where you are in your journey of self-respect vis-a-vis capacity, things will probably show up to show you how you can love yourself more and how you can honor all that you've been doing to change, to reprogram, to decondition from the grind and unshame from the patterns that were expecting you to be something that's not even human and is not loving, and that's not who you are now. So that will be really supportive to you if you really tend to that with continuing you on the journey that this spring has been taking you. That whole bit there may feel like a little bit of a slowdown where you're like, but I want to get back to like doing things, like I want to get back to the magic. Like that healing window there may feel like in a shamey way, like, oh, I don't want to be doing this. This isn't fun. Like takes me away from the action, but it's really important because it's preparing the way so that when you do take your actions, you're coming from a place that's gonna respect your your limits and your limitations so that you can confidently commit to things knowing that you're not going to push yourself too hard. You can confidently go really big knowing that you will never abandon yourself in the process of getting bigger. You know what I mean? And so this window is really important to honor because you want to feel that you can trust yourself with the big moves that you're making and the big shifts that you're making with your life. So that's feeling complete. Thank you so much, Cancer Rising. Inviting you to make a note in your planner to come back and listen to this again around midway. Then you'll be really in it and you can hear all of this anew from that perspective and let it help you another time through. And then I will see you at the May Scopes Unshamed. Thank you.